think we're back.
Are we back?
Matt and
Matt.
we're here today in the pseudo-dark.
Yeah, because the lights keep flickering like
We
assholes.
are still haunted, so we went a little red, light right now. So the ambiance is lovely.
Actually, it's so red in here, you can hear Sting singing to us from outside.
Well, I was thinking maybe we were in an Italian restaurant, some kind of mob movie, but I'll take that as well. So we're here today to talk about movies, as always. We're going to do a little discussion about our old friends Netflix, because we always end up talking about them.
Well, they've made some big strides recently.
And we're going to fight about a couple things, I believe, which I'm very excited about. I'm glad you bought the boxing gloves, because you're going to need them.
Well, that's for something completely unrelated.
Oh, okay. Well, we will verbally spar
Yes.
about a few things, about Logan and about other things. So you ready to get this thing going today?
Show thing.
I love the history of cinema. If it weren't for the history of cinema, we could not have great classic films like, I don't know, There's Something About Mary. Without that, we couldn't have it. And to me, the ideal branch or area or place that you can find those is the Criterion Collection.
Well, not for everything. Probably not for the average consumer, you'd say.
I don't care about the average consumer.
But you
I'm
were
just kidding.
you were
Of course I
speaking in
do.
a generality.
Absolutely,
so,
absolutely.
Let's qualify that.
Take that trip through film school,
Right.
and without having to pay $45,000 a year that you paid to go to film school.
That's not even close.
Criterion has collected, I guess, for maybe the last 20 years, some of the best random films, some of the best almost lost films.
It almost seems like their mission to save important movies that might otherwise be forgotten, which kind of makes me wonder why the hell they haven't done a Criterion version of True Lies.
That is a good question, but it is great that there are film restorers. There are people that want to keep the history of cinema going, and if we have to put them on Blu-ray to be able to do that for people, then we shall.
Yeah.
I think it's important this week to talk about Criterion as well. We're going to talk about some of our favorites, but to go along with film history and the history of film, we lost a great one this week. We lost Robert Osborne. Was not a Criterion fellow, but he introduced movies on TCM, and along with Criterion, really kind of tells the history of cinema.
Yeah, thanks to him and Turner Classic, I've found a lot of my favorite movies through them. And I don't know, at times it almost seemed like he was a glorified host, but that's really undercutting and not doing a great service to what he did.
Absolutely.
You know?
To be able to know that it was 7 o'clock and something great was about to come on, but even better, he was going to tell you a little something about it, give you some history on it, a little nugget that you would not have known otherwise.
Also, the interviews he did were pretty great, and
Excellent.
I liked it when they brought in celebrities to program for an evening. But thanks to him, they always show great classic horror movies during the month of October,
Right.
and they always made room for the 1932 version of Jekyll and Hyde, which is my favorite horror film of all time, the Frederick March one.
All right. That's awful nice of him. But you said something that can bring us back to where we're going to be in the first place that I got detoured from. The nights that he would bring on celebrities or famous people to program an evening on TCM. This Criterion idea came to me through also what Criterion does. They'll bring in directors into the vault, as it were, and they get to pick out a few films and talk about what it means to them and where they saw them the first time and that kind of stuff. So that's really what I wanted to begin. So let's start with you, Matt. What is one of your Criterion must-haves?
It's a movie that I was actually very surprised to find was a Criterion film.
Okay.
Because if you haven't seen it, or maybe if you haven't seen it since you were a kid, you might think, oh, what, that? But it's really a quite brilliant film. RoboCop.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
It is a masterpiece of satire. Unfortunately, I think we have a generation of people now who saw the way OCP handled things and was like, yeah, that's a good idea.
Let's do it exactly like that because that worked great.
No, but it's hard to find a movie that does what that movie does better, and it's one of my favorites. And I think one of the only reasons that movie actually works is the fact that I think a lot of the subtlety might have been in the writing, might have been lost on Verhoeven, considering he couldn't speak English when he made it. So I think he might have taken a lot of things he might have taken them literally when not really realizing that it was a wink to the camera.
Right.
So I think a lot of the humor that the writers put in kind of got past. But I might be wrong. It might have been all him. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's one of mine. What about you?
Let's talk about another humorous film.
Okay.
From the Criterion Collection. It's called The Night Porter.
Okay.
If anybody has seen The Night Porter, they know that comedy is not really at the forefront of this film. It is more about this woman who has flashbacks from the time that she spent in a concentration camp, and then
wow, that's hilarious.
And then the guy who was the captain of the area, she sees him in a hotel one night, and they have an intimate relationship through the guise of this absurd situation. And so it definitely was funny at times. It was a little horrific. It's not as horrific as, say, a movie like Sallow, that took it a step or two further, but it made an impact on me. It was one of the first Criterion films for me that I saw that I realized there was something unique and different that nobody else had put together a collection like this. So The Night Porter, I don't know if I'd recommend it, but I did enjoy it, and you might enjoy it too.
I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
You're a weirdo, so I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, without a doubt. My next one is Brazil.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Now, I've seen a couple of different cuts of it, and the Criterion has like three cuts. But it's one of those that I think I watched the Love Conquers All version first, which you should not do, especially since they use like a lot of work print stuff in there, and that always is kind of jarring, you know. But no, that's Terry Gilliam crazy masterpiece.
That is most insane for sure.
It's so bizarre. It's so great. A good double feature would be that in 1984.
I can see that.
Because it's almost like 1984 made by an insane person.
Right. And he is definitely an insane person. He made 12 Monkeys definitely look normal.
Yeah, right.
I
think we can safely classify him as an insane person, considering all indications seem to be that God really doesn't want him to make his Don Quixote movie, and he's still trying to do it.
Yeah, and another great, wonderful, crazy director that Criterion has brought together is a little man named Seijun Suzuki, a little Asian fellow, just recently died as well. So
why does he have to be little?
Because he's little and adorable. He is very pocket-sized. He's adorable. He made a lot of films, but the one film that got him banished from the studio system in Japan in the 1960s was called Branded to Kill. Mm-hmm. It is about the number 3 hitman on the way to try to take out the number 1 hitman. There is some weirdness on top of some weirdness. There's some butterflies. The main...
What do they symbolize, Matt?
Ooh, you know what? You're going to have to watch the movie to find out.
No, but I want you to tell me.
I shall not leave it out on the plate for you. You shall learn it yourself.
No, you're the worst.
Thank you. The main character enjoys a good boiling pot of rice in a sexual way. And there's nudity, there's violence, there's absurdity, and it is one of the greatest.
Swears?
Oh, no, boobies, yes. Swears, I don't think so. I don't think they cared about that at the time. But Branded to Kill is one of the other ones in the Criterion Collection that I say watch. So there you go, guys. There's a few Criterion Collections. It's not on Hulu anymore. It used to be on Hulu. Yeah. Now it's on Fandor, I believe. But don't be cheap.
What the hell is Fandor?
It's $4 a month. Don't be cheap. Do it for a month. Watch some history.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, got a question for you.
I have an answer.
Do you watch things on a Roku or an Apple TV or something like that?
Roku, I do. I love Roku. I've got several in my house.
Okay. Have you downloaded Netflix?
Indeed.
Hulu?
Yes.
ABC?
No.
The NBC app?
Yes.
CW?
Yes.
CW Seed?
I don't know what that is.
CBS? Because you know they're about to start charging $4 for that. What about CISO?
No.
What about Shudder?
Don't
what
know.
about a million of these other apps?
Exactly.
What about Crackle?
Yes, I have Crackle.
Yeah, Crackle's free. I like Crackle.
Exactly. Everybody has to have their own app.
Right, because that's smart, isn't it?
It is interesting. I think that as soon as HBO did it, They are the torchbearers.
Which is funny because all they did was put their service online. They've always been a subscription-based service.
Right, but a cable-based, subscription-based service.
Right, but my point is now you have CBS
Right.
asking for $5 a month to watch CBS programming.
Sure.
Oh, your phone buzzed. And
That's my vibrator.
and they're over-the-air free.
Are you saying that you're not going to pay to watch The Big Bang Theory?
Hell no. And I'm a Trekkie, and the new Star Trek series will be available only on that app.
Right.
I'm not paying for that app. You know why? Because I pay for Sling.
Mm-hmm.
I pay for Hulu. I pay for Netflix. And I'm not going to end up paying more to get less.
But wasn't this what we always wanted? Wasn't this
No.
what we always screamed about? Is I want to pay. I want
No.
to not do the bundle.
No. What was great was when Hulu first started, and it was free, and that was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said, well, it's not going to be free anymore. So you're going to pay. And then we paid, and they're like, well, we're still going to have ads. Like, oh, that sucks. That doesn't make any sense.
What am I
We're
paying for?
you, and ads are supposed to pay for that, so I don't have to pay you because that's how
Mhm.
broadcast TV works. Okay. They're like, well, you know what? We'll get rid of ads if you pay a little more. And they're like, well, it's not really getting rid of ads, you know. So it's kind of some bullshit. I think they found a loophole and they took advantage of it. And it's kind of like the first person who picked up a freemium game on their phone, sucked at it, and then said, oh, if I only pay $3, I can unlock 5 more lives. Okay, I'll do it. And
Right.
then they ruined it for everybody. Because that's the business model now, and it's not going to be sustainable. Especially when you have other places that offer more for the same or less.
Right.
You know, you have something like Shudder, which has, if you're into horror movies, really into horror movies, that's a good service for you because the horror movies on Hulu suck, and the majority of horror movies on Netflix suck. If you're really into comedy, and you like me, you are a fanatic for SNL and Monty Python and Kids in the Hall. CISO is literally the only place you can get these now. So you're kind of forced to go there. But they have so much other content, it's worth it. Now, Netflix gives you pretty much everything, and everything you don't get there, you can kind of get on Hulu. And what they're, like people like CBS are kind of, and ABC, which is only live streaming in 8 cities because they're, you know, archaic apparently.
Yep.
If you pay for CBS's $5 a month, you can watch, you know, the new Star Trek series. You can watch Big Bang Theory. You can watch CSI
Football.
Miami.
Football's going to be on there.
But then, you also have the NFL Network and ESPN. I think the problem is everyone's wanting their cut now. And they're pulling all of their content. Like CBS is starting to they've pulled all their TV content and also all the movie content they own from Netflix and Hulu. And the problem is that's gonna upset people, and they're gonna end up losing. And it's kind of like when Sony decided, hey, you know what? We kind of suck at making Spider-Man movies. Hey, Marvel, you want to do it for us? And then, you know, we'll still keep the character, and we can split money. That worked really well for them.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's going to work really well. Because Marvel movies don't do under like $800 million. And I've got a feeling that's what's going to happen. You're going to see maybe enough to barely keep it running, but at some point something's going to have to change because I don't think there are enough people out there that are going to pay $5 a month
Right.
to watch CBS material.
Now, all this was cute. This was an adorable conversation that you just had, but I'm going to talk to the studios right now.
All right.
Face to face, guys. CBS, ABC, NBC,
Voice to voice.
whoever else is out there.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to pay for your system, but I have the internet. And I have websites that I may go to and to watch your content. Because if you're a jackhole, just like any jackholes to the last 15 years that try to overcharge or charge me in a way that I don't think that should be or anything like that, I'm fine with paying for things. I pay for Sling. I pay for Hulu. I pay for Amazon. But if you want to be a jerk about it and try to do your own thing, then I'm just going to go to PrimeWire and I'm going to watch your stuff there, or I'm going to stream it later, and I don't care. So thanks, studios. Do what you want to do. But until you take away my internet, you better not take away my internet.
Which they're about to.
I'm going to watch my stuff elsewhere. And then I'll just get a pirated version from Europe. So, sorry, studios. Sorry. Listen to Matt if you want to, because I know that's who you want to be talking to. But I'm the truth. I'm the reality, and I'm going to steal your stuff.
I'm not disagreeing with you. That's the funny thing.
Sometimes we agree.
Oh, I was going to do this.
Exactly. See, that's where we're already started out. We know already that this is going to be cantankerous.
Okay, we're going to talk about Logan.
We are going to do that.
But let me ask you something.
Yes.
Did you ever read comic books growing up?
No.
Were you an X-Men fan?
No.
Then get the fuck out of here.
I'm a film fan, and if you make a film, it should be rated as a film. I don't care if it's a superhero movie or if it's a little girl or if it's I don't care.
No,
a film is a film is a film.
And the funny thing is, you actually didn't mind the movie.
I didn't at all. No.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Good.
I didn't at all. But it was, it left me empty and hollow as a film fan, as a film connoisseur.
Now, what do you mean empty and hollow? As in, it affected you or it didn't affect you?
When I watch a film, whether it be Elephant or whether it be Daddy Daycare, I always want to...
You've never seen Daddy Daycare.
That is true. That is true. But if I did, I would still want to feel the same way inside. And I know when a film moves me, and I know when a film doesn't move me. And there's no rhyme or reason for it. There's no tangible way to be able to express that other than to say that my insides know it. And I watched Logan, and I enjoyed it, per se. And I'm getting to the end, and I see what we're happening, and I see what's going to happen, and it's all good. And then my insides are just like, I don't care. I just absolutely didn't care, and not in a terrible way. Again, it's a good film. Not unlike Get Out was a well-made film. It just didn't work to get an A. I guess let's talk about that in the rating that way. It definitely could have gotten a B. I have no problem with a B plus even, but it can't be an A-level movie if my insides don't get excited for it.
Okay, now here's a question.
Yes.
Is this...
Because I'm racist?
No,
yes.
No.
Yes.
No, is this your personal opinion on... I think that it didn't... If you said, it didn't move you, or you didn't connect.
Right.
Right. Is that something that you're able to quantify or qualify across the board? As in, it doesn't work on this level, so no one should be able to, or is it just you had trouble connecting with it? Like, why? What was missing from it?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I definitely think, I could even compare it to a movie that I watched less than 6 hours after it, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. Now, these are films have never been compared before, and they never will be compared again. But I will tell you in this sense,
that's not true. I've heard you compare these two multiple times now.
Oh, that's true. That is true. I don't know if it's a character-based situation, because it wasn't visual, because they both had a fine visual texture, all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, maybe it really just boils down to I was on the outside rather than on the inside with the characters. Okay. I was watching them. I was a voyeur, but they weren't part of me.
Do you think part of that might be because, you're not starting with this character anew, that you're picking up at literally the end of his story? This is the last
I've seen
chapter.
4 of the Wolverine films.
But this kind of doesn't follow the continuity for any of them.
Okay.
My point being, because we didn't see the lead up, we didn't see what happened to the X-Men, how they got into this situation. We're just told that 20 years have passed, basically. Right. Do you think that's what kept you from connecting with the characters? Because I really like the first one and the second one, X-Men movies. Like the last two, basically all except for X-Men Origins, Wolverine, and X3. I dug. Not saying they're the best movies ever made, but I really dug them, and I really like his portrayal of the character. So this is where I think maybe some of the personal interest might, separate how we reacted to the movie. So my question is it because it picked up so late in the story and we didn't have the build-up, and you're supposed to care about something that we haven't seen happen?
My desire was should have been turned on before I got there. Before I answer that question, I would like everybody at home to know that you look so wonderful in this light.
Thank you.
There's a light upstairs. Yeah, that absolutely could have been it. being able to start in the film, and obviously you have Patrick Stewart there, and he's trying to take care of him, but everybody is over the hill, I guess, as it were.
Can we say that Patrick Stewart's really fucking funny in this?
He is. He is
Yeah, he's
excellent
really
in that role. In at the end of the life of the character. I mean, he's always been good as that character, but to be able to reflect on that time, and I think that as an older man, he's beginning to do that anyhow in life. So I really think that he could take that on full bore. Maybe it was because there wasn't a ramp up, but I don't know how they would have done that either. Like, I don't know.
Without the movie being like 3 hours long.
Right.
Because it was 2:12 the way it was.
Yeah, and I'd have face murdered myself if it would have been 3 hours. And you know what? Let's compare it a little bit for me to Star Wars, because Star Wars I left feeling the same way. But
which one?
The last one, whichever the last one was.
Rogue One.
The outside of the canon.
Rogue One.
Yeah, there you go. I left it leaving the same way, but it didn't feel the same way afterwards, because I knew that I wasn't going to connect with this one because I don't have any Star Wars background. Whereas with Logan, I felt like going into the film, everybody that talked about it, everybody that had seen it up to that point, made it seem as though you wouldn't need any of that other stuff. It could be a standalone film,
right?
And it worked.
Here's what I think a lot of the problem is, and I don't think, because this would be so easy to make a joke and say like, "Oh, you're being contrary because you're not raving for this like everyone else is, and you didn't rave for Get Out like everyone else did." But here's, I think, the problem, and it's really not with you. It's the fact that anytime a movie is good, not great, just, hey, this is a solid base run, like Get Out. Get Out is a solid film. I'd be the first to say it's not an A. But people will react like it's an A, because movies are so generally bad now, especially this last year. This last year was some shit, that I think it kind of throws everything off. So when we see 100% for Get Out and like 96% for Logan on Rotten Tomatoes, and everyone's like, this is amazing, this is the greatest thing ever, and then you go see it, you're already being set up. And then it's not going to deliver that because they're not mind-blowingly, life-alteringly great. They're very good. They are AC/DC songs. You've seen it before, but they're just done very, very well. And that's kind of how I saw Logan. I will say this, I felt more of a gut punch. And let's do some spoilers. So if you don't like spoilers, then skip ahead to what, I don't know.
Eventually we'll talk about something else.
Yeah. But the scene where Xavier is lying in bed and he said, "This is the best day I've had and I don't deserve it." And he talks about how he remembered everything. And it's this great performance and it's really touching. And then the fake Wolverine stabs him in the chest. I was like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And then they murder the entire family, including the kid. I'm like, oh my God. And then almost any other movie at the end would have had one of the kids say, oh my God, look, this guy has that green juice. Let's inject him and he's alive and he'll take us, across the border and we're going to live and he's going to be our mentor. That would have been every other movie. But this one was like, no, it's not. And while it was happening, I knew he was going to die. Like, I just knew from everything else that had happened in the movie. And I was waiting for it. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, are they going to do the Deus Ex Machina and have him live? Because he does have the healing factor. An injection of that would probably have helped him. It would have saved him. And then I'm like, I kind of want that because I want the happy fuzzy ending, but that would be a disservice to everything that was good about the movie and how true it was to the brutality. Because when they said we're going to make an R movie, they made an R movie, and it didn't feel like they were saying things just to say it. It felt natural, right? So I felt like it was all earned. And by the end, especially when they played Johnny Cash, right, when it cut to the title card,
right,
I felt a little bit of a gut punch. Now, I think it might also be because I've grown up with not only the characters in the comics and the cartoons and everything, but these guys have been playing the characters for almost 20 years now. 17 years. That's a long fucking time to be playing the same characters. And I think that might be why I responded to it. But, and also, I have a daughter.
I was going to say, there's a lot of kids in this movie.
I
And you know
have
how
a
I feel
daughter,
about that.
and the whole father-daughter thing, and realizing your own mortality. Every day I see my daughter get older, the more I realize, oh, I'm on this express train to the abyss, and it gets me kind of existentially frightened, to my core.
But
So-
aroused.
Hmm?
But aroused.
At the same time, yeah.
Yep.
Well, no, let's not say that because I just said I looked at my daughter. That's disgusting. You're an ass. God damn it.
Context.
Right. No, it's one of those, I think, that maybe my personal interest in the father-daughter thing skewed it, which is also why I'm not going to let my older daughter see it until, she's older. She's 8, and the violence she might be able to handle, but the father-daughter thing, by the end, is going to tear her apart because she and I are really close, and I know how she reacts to movies like that and TV shows like that. So yeah, I think that might have shaded my view on things.
I want to toot my own horn right now.
Yeah.
And say that no matter what I say about this film or Get Out or anything else, I'm always open to watch it again. There's very
same
few
here.
films I'm going to watch and dislike the first time so much that I would not go back to it because a lot of times it is just your viewing experience. Like, what's
Right.
going on? Are you in a comfortable seat? Are you eating your popcorn? Is some asshole talking next to you? So I always view movies through that lens.
Right.
They can always change when you have a different perspective because a lot of times films that I really liked in the theater have changed some too when I watch it in a different setting.
When I first saw Avengers in the theater, there was a drunk woman sitting next to me, and I hated the way it was shot because it's not a movie shot for theaters. It's shot for home video.
Right.
And I was watching, I was hating every second of it, and everybody else was loving it. And I said, you know what? I guarantee when this thing comes on Blu-ray and I let my kids see it, I'm going to really enjoy it. And that's exactly what happened.
Right.
So I get what you're saying. I think Logan might be worth a rewatch, but I think I understand the hollowness that I think you're feeling from it because it's very surface level. There's not a whole lot going on underneath. Not a whole lot. A little bit, about regret and age and all that. But I don't think there's a whole lot more than what meets the eye.
Yeah, I can dig that. I can look forward to watching it again. There wasn't anything that really seemed to be that important on a giant screen. So I think that it'll translate over to the TV just fine.
It will. And that's another thing I was thinking about. It's like, is this going to frame better at home or here? I think the action is going to be more intelligible at home, but also less visceral. So you're going to be able to see what's going on better, but it's going to be less like, oh, wow, he's killing another guy.
Right.
But I mean, besides that, if I had to give it a letter grade, I give it a B+. How about you?
Which is fine. I wouldn't be against that. I'd give it a B.
Yeah.
A B was absolutely fine with me. And, so go watch it. I'm not against you going to watch it. It's sure better than going to watch probably the 8 other films that are out right now.
There's some decent films out right now. That's the one thing that's surprising. It's the first time in a long time I'm like, well, I don't mind seeing that. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Wouldn't mind seeing that.
You want to see that stupid movie with Charlie Day and Ice Cube where they beat each other up? Is that what you want to see?
I wouldn't pay to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you said, hey, want to go see this movie and get drunk at the same time, I'd be like, if you're paying, okay.
No. I have a local movie theater that cost me $3. I'm not.
I'll say
I'm not
this,
doing
though. If you're going to watch a comedy, watch it in a full theater. Or
Well,
at
of course,
home,
it's
or
the
at home with
energy of
friends.
the
Don't
energy of the
watch it
film.
alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
You started this section by talking about Something About Mary. First time I saw Something About Mary, I saw it alone, and I didn't laugh once. 2 weeks later, saw it with a group of friends, and it's like, oh my god, this movie's hilarious. I'm like, no, wait, no, it's a laugh track.
I'm not gonna lie. When I watched Batman, the Lego Movie, I don't know how much I would have laughed. Wouldn't have been with my friend,
Right.
but because I was with somebody else, that the jokes worked for both of us. It was hilarious. So, we're getting a little off track because we stopped talking about Logan. But I think
we settled on Logan.
we did, and we didn't punch each other that they know of at home.
No, but we are docking.
That is true. do you get your movie news now? How do you see movies? How do you know a movie's coming out?
I feel like there are fewer places that don't have movie news than do. Every website I go to has some form of movie news. Everything I subscribe to on YouTube has movie news. Everybody posts everything about movies.
And that's 2017. What were you doing 15 years ago to see a movie?
Ain't It Cool? And countingdown.com. That's where most of my
still-
news came from.
That
Yeah.
was still a place. Well, people before the internet
Uh,
got a lot of movie news, a lot of ways.
let's go back to this. Jurassic Park.
Yes, that was a movie.
I remember being incredibly excited for it as a kid. I remember knowing that it was about dinosaurs and that Steven Spielberg had directed it. I don't remember seeing a trailer for it.
Super Bowl had a trailer,
Right. No, I know it did.
and I didn't see that movie. I've seen it now, but I didn't see
Yeah.
it then.
But, when Jurassic Park was first released, I don't remember ever seeing a trailer. I just knew about it, I don't know.
I miss posters. I will go
I miss good posters. Yeah.
to any vintage shop, resale shop, that kind of stuff. If they have Mylars from the 40s and
Yeah.
the 50s, I'm suckered in because they were so interesting and visually gave you a little something about the film, but I know where they were in the theater, and
Can we
that was-
agree that Photoshop has ruined movie posters?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah. Did you see the Kong Skull Island poster that's done in this? It's the IMAX poster that's done in the style of Apocalypse Now.
I have not.
It's fantastic
But it
because the
does
movie
sound
takes place
amazing.
in 1973,
Right.
so it's done in that style and it looks great. They did something similar with the previous Planet of the Apes movie, the really good one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but maybe Return or something.
something like that. Arise, Dawn. I don't know. Dawn of Planet of the Apes. But where they had Caesar on a horse
Oh,
with a
yes.
machine gun,
Mm-hmm.
and it looked like something out of a Roger Corman flick from the 70s. It was
Yes, it
great.
did. Yes, it did. Do you show up early enough when you go to the movies to watch movie trailers?
Yes, always.
Well, okay, we're going to differ on that. I show up 1 minute. Well, I show up 12 to 15 minutes after the scheduled time so that I can miss all of the trailers because I've seen them all already.
You're right.
And then I watch the last one and then the movie starts.
I like seeing trailers in the theater. I really like the idea of trailers in the theater. And I wish I could say that if I knew I was going to see a movie like, if I'm going to see, Star Wars opening day, I'm going to save the trailers, the new trailers, for that experience. But I watch them first thing in the morning.
I got you. So, right, so we got trailers. I'm trying to think
I have a
what
question.
has. Go for it. Okay, good.
Your favorite movie, Get Out.
Yes.
It's in its third week of release.
Mhm.
It's only dropped 20%.
That's impressive.
That's ridiculous for any movie, let alone a horror film, a low-budget horror film. So my question is, are people seeing it because they like the trailer? Or because everyone's telling them, oh my God, you got to go see Get Out?
Oh, that's a good question. I think
It's the latter.
that people do still will go to watch the trailer with a horror movie. I think if you want specifically a horror movie, because not everybody likes a horror movie, but it seems like in the last couple of years they're being made for people who just enjoy films.
Right.
They're more thriller than horror a lot of times, and this was definitely an intellectual horror film. So I think they're making them more accessible.
Thriller.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Hand That Rocks the Cradle, and that's a psychological thriller.
Right.
That's different.
They don't make movies like that anymore.
I miss those movies.
Yeah, me too.
I watched them all.
But can we both just agree on that stars don't sell shit anymore?
I don't think we can even agree on that. I haven't worked in the movie theater in a while, but every time that I'm at the movie and I actually go to a person to buy a ticket, which is very rare, but when I do, there's always somebody in line that goes, hey, I want a ticket for so-and-so's movie. That's still how they order tickets.
Really?
Absolutely.
I've never heard
I've
that in
heard
my
it. I've been to Krabby Valley View 3 times in the last month or so. Every time somebody in line would ask, "Hey, I want a ticket for X stars movie,"
See,
and they still do that.
I think the only person that can sell a movie is The Rock. at
Ryan
this point.
Gosling.
No, that's not even true.
I think that he sold a lot of La La Land. I think $200 million of that was Ryan Gosling. And I have a great, wonderful Ryan Gosling. People came to see it because it was him movie. That they realized it was terrible. Only God Forgives. There was 3 old ladies sitting behind me at the Angelica watching the Ryan Gosling movie. And when he gets stabbed through the hand, they realized it was not for them and they left. So people do still go to see the movies because of a name actor. And Ryan Gosling is on the top of that list.
That's my favorite thing I've ever heard. 3 old ladies going to see Only God.
And they did. It was lovely.
Holy shit. It's like a person taking their young kid to go see Neon Demon.
Yeah,
That's
yep.
so wrong.
And that's also why you still go to the movies, because you get that experience. You get horrified old ladies.
Do you think that...
I think that there's first. I think I killed Matt.
Forgives today. Okay.
Yes.
But honestly, if movie stars still sold, don't you think something like Edge of Tomorrow, with arguably the largest movie star ever, Tom Cruise, a great movie, would have been sold? A lot of people will catch on to things later, like John Wick, right?
Sure.
But people aren't going to see them specifically for these people. At least not the majority, I don't think, unless it's The Rock, because people will literally see anything The Rock's in.
Thank you. I will get it.
Same here. But if people wanted to see the Fast and Furious movies just for Vin Diesel, then Triple X 3, Return of Xander Cage, would have been a huge hit, and it wasn't.
Bite your tongue, sorry, it was a giant hit.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, I for the most part, but anybody above 50, I still don't understand how they do things. I'm still confused by. I'm not going to call them.
But they're still not the majority of the movie going public. Now, the one movie I will say probably owed a lot of its money to the star is The Martian, because everyone was like, "Oh, the Matt Damon movie."
Right,
like, that's the one.
Yeah,
Matt Damon might be the other guy who can actually sell a movie, but it's not like the last Bourne movies did well.
That's true. I almost said Ben Affleck, but I remember his last movie did not do anything at all. But yet, some of his, I think that Argo would not have been as watched if he wasn't in it.
I think Argo was more of a, hey, this guy can direct and act. What the fuck? We gotta watch this.
And it was a pretty good film.
Yeah, I'm sorry I broke down about that.
We're all back now. We're all back. I still do like a good movie advertisement if you're getting creative with it. I go all the way back. I still have the advertisement from the newspaper. Yeah, there's a thing called newspaper.
Yeah.
Of don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. And that's because I just love the visual of it and just loved what it represented.
I have the first trailer for The Lost World that was given to ABC to run on their station. Someone gave me a copy when I was a kid.
Nice.
Which is awesome. What's your favorite movie trailer of all time and favorite poster? Let's go with that.
Oh, you're going to punch me.
Brown Bunny.
Look,
damn it.
There are definitely better trailers than the Brown Bunny. But I can tell you this. When the Brown Bunny trailer dropped, because he was going to show the movie at Cannes,
right, and
he had the financing situation, he didn't really want to release it, but the Gordon Lightfoot song underneath some of the most gorgeously photographed cinema in 20 years probably, just to put that along with the Gordon Lightfoot, and then the windshield wipers are going, and it was just a beautiful experience, and it made me so excited to see the film. It wasn't there wasn't explosions, it wasn't Transformers or anything like that, but the simpleness of it really worked. But I'll give you another one just because you're gonna you'll give me a hard time about that one. The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford was another excellent.
Oh, that title's so fucking way too long. Way too long.
Well, that's true, but it was the energy of it was just so powerful, and the music, and the first time you see Casey Affleck as Robert Ford and Brad Pitt with the snake. They had the snake in the commercial. It was so good.
What about poster?
Poster. Golly, let's think. Oh, you know what? There's some really good Bonnie and Clyde posters that I've seen. Since this is the 50th anniversary, I've been re-glancing over some stuff, and Bonnie and Clyde had some excellent Mylars.
I think my favorite movie poster would be Metropolis.
Okay, yeah, we have that in
Just
the front here
Art
of the studio.
Deco out the ass.
Yep.
And my favorite trailer of all time is the teaser trailer for Blow.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah, that's a great one. I can watch that.
Netflix has taken over, my friend. They are taking it to the movie theater.
It seems like we talk about this every time.
This time they're doing it in reverse. They're not bringing it to your house. They are bringing it to the theater.
They're doing both. They've fired a couple
Yes.
of big shots the last couple of weeks.
The director, the Korean director from Snowpiercer, Bong Joon-ho, is releasing his new film Okja, not only on Netflix, but also in movie theaters in South Korea and the United States. And people are not thrilled about this.
Why?
Because, again, theater owners and the studios still live in the past.
But if they're getting a movie, where the hell do they care where it comes from? The exhibitors. I mean,
It is that day and date release thing, because I think that Netflix is releasing basically at the same time, and they still haven't figured out how to deal with that.
here's why I call bullshit on the day and date release. This is exactly why I call bullshit.
Drop it. My vibrator again. Sorry.
There you go. Okay. When The Wrestler first came out,
Mm-hmm.
there was nowhere around here that showed it. I managed to grab a copy, and I watched it 3 times in the first day. The second it came out here, past limited release,
Right.
I went out and I watched it. I saw Rogue One in the theater. I really enjoyed it. And I was like, man, if I could watch that again tonight at home, I'd love to do that. And you know what? I still took my kids to go see it. You know, I saw it multiple times in the theater.
Yeah, I like to do it that opposite way. I
And-
like to do that in the theater than home.
And you know what? I don't think day and date is going to be as big of a deal as they think it is, because they keep talking about it as if it's going to destroy everything, but it's not a big enough thing happening yet that you can really tell one way or the other. if
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
killing
some of the prices on it already, they're talking about like $50, like a pay-per-view.
Right.
And, that's to have your friends over to be able to do that thing. And I think that's a fine idea.
Right.
That works for me just fine. I'm not trying to do that because I still my movies. But most people, to be able to do that, to have that opportunity to watch at the house. Now, I'm still a sucker for the theater. I'm always going to go to the theater first before home. But I can understand a lot of people, whether you have families or whether you have kids. But yeah, please, actually, if you have kids, I don't want them in the theater with me.
Or let's say you're
Keep
busy.
them at home. Sure.
You're just busy.
Yeah.
Now, besides deciding to release a movie that they've produced
Oh,
in the theater,
sorry, I was just one more thought on
Yeah.
that. Not only if you're busy, but also if you live in any place that's not a major city. I
Right.
mean, how much can that expand the view of your film when you can take it to Omaha that doesn't have an Angelica theater, to take a place like that? Okay, go
exactly. Now, this isn't the only shot they've fired. They've also announced that the new Will Smith fantasy sci-fi epic movie they're producing.
ahead. I hope he's doing it with his son because the last time that worked out great.
The latest movie, Brad Pitt's movie,
Mhm.
guess what? Produced by Netflix. And The Irishman,
Right, the Scorsese.
the Scorsese movie with De Niro,
And
a young
Pacino.
De Niro, Pacino, and Joe Pesci, going straight to Netflix.
Yep.
More than the day and date release, this needs to frighten theaters.
Absolutely.
Because honestly, a Scorsese movie just straight to my house, holy shit. Now I don't have to worry about paying a babysitter
Mm-hmm.
for 4 hours. This,
I still don't know why you pay a babysitter. You can let those kids there yourselves. They're 8. There's one that is 8 now. She can take care of herself.
I've got a feeling these 3 movies alone are going to be what turns the tide. And this is going to make Netflix probably one of the biggest competitors in media. Not just for cool TV shows like, Stranger Things.
Fuller House. Okay.
And Fuller House. Fuller House is a huge
It has been
hit.
one of their biggest things they've done.
Right. But now they're not just making movies because they've been doing that for a while.
Right.
No, they're getting the biggest names in the industry. And for some reason, you don't have Warner Brothers scrambling to give Scorsese money, which is kind of dumb because he's Scorsese, right? You'd want to give him some money to make a movie.
What for the studios? How do they view? Because Netflix, I think we talked about this last week. Netflix is able to buy something and have it forever.
Yeah,
and they will always be able to have that on Netflix.
Yeah.
Whereas with the studio, you go from the theater, you hope that you sell some DVDs or whatever, but they don't have that secondary market where everybody goes to watch their films.
Well,
and
they
so
will now, because they're going to have their own app on Roku and Apple TV.
they will, but Netflix has such a good head start, and also that they do more than one thing. So, they culminate from everything.
I think the funny thing is they're feeding into each other. What happened was Netflix got super popular, and a lot of companies started saying, whoa, we want some of that money for ourselves. So they started, once their deals were up, they started pulling their content. I think Netflix's response was, oh, we've already got a bunch of subscribers, so we'll just make our own.
Do it ourselves.
And that's getting more popular, so companies, we got to get our stuff back so we can sell our own app. And they're like, okay, fine, we're just going to pay Scorsese to make an awesome movie.
Right.
So it's feeding into each other. They don't see it. I hate to take something from 1991, but can't we all just get along? Because again, if they just play nice with each other, this wouldn't be happening.
I think of all the cinema that we could get, to be able to give artists and creators like Scorsese, like Brad Pitt, like those guys, and to work together to be able to give them the money they need to do something, but also show it to the world. Because, I think the studios have such an outlet now to international sales. And that should make up for anything in America that you lose.
Netflix right now is being run the way studios were run in the 70s, where they're like, hey, what do you want to do? The Duffer Brothers? No one else is talking to you? You want to do an 8-hour movie that's basically an homage to everything you loved in the 80s?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. You don't have a track record? Fine. They're going to get the big names, but they're also giving no-name people a shot too. And,
we're waiting on Netflix. Just give us a call.
Yeah, right. It's becoming the place to be. It's like the studios were in the 70s, where it's like, oh, are you a kid with a vision? Yeah, here's some money. Go make something. We don't care if it works or not. We got other stuff.
Right.
And that's why they're succeeding. So, yeah.
And it's great. I think that eventually they'll work it out. I don't think we're losing movies anytime soon in the theater or at home.
No, there's going to be a little bit of a dark period, I think, where if you want a movie by Paramount, you're going to have to go through a Paramount app.
Right.
And after that fails, they're going to make another deal with Netflix.
What
or something else.
Where does Fathom Events fit into this? To be able to maybe to Netflix and Fathom Events utilize that special event kind of thing, so you don't have to have a movie in a theater all day, every day for a week or 2 weeks or whatever to be able to do the old model.
The funny thing is, as much as people like Tarantino and Nolan want to complain about digital projection, it's also made watching older movies and these live events and other things like that possible. Because a lot of times, if when we were growing up, if you saw an older movie in the theater, it would burn. It'd look terrible, it'd sound worse. And now it's, oh, here's 4K pristine quality. It's TV in public. Yeah, but you know what? I've never seen RoboCop on the big screen.
Right.
And you know what? If Fathom Events can do that, great. It also allows them to do things like, when what's her name? Debbie Reynolds died. Oh, AMC, we're going to do like 5 screenings this weekend of Singing in the Rain.
Mm.
My kids have never seen that in the theater. I want to take them to it. That's great. The more we can get these things, the better, because it's just a wider variety of stuff. It's basically the difference between listening to Top 40 on the radio and then going into a giant record store like Amoeba. That's the difference.
Right.
It's either, this is what we have for you. Here are your weekly releases of shit. Or, hey, remember that old movie? You know what? Since we're only downloading this, we only have to make nothing on it.
Right.
We don't have to worry about, getting the print here and all that. It's literally a download. So there's less cost in it for them. And it's just going to bring people to the theater to see it.
Right.
So, yeah.
I'm very much on board for this. Anytime we can get things in the theater, even more, we're certainly a little spoiled because we are in a metropolitan city, so we're able to access that stuff more and have that readily available to us. But I think that they should do more of this. There's nothing wrong with this. I think
that's
it's a
what I'm
great
saying.
new model, and let's move forward.
And thanks to Fathom,
Right.
people like that, you are able to go to smaller cities as long as you have, like a Cinemark or an AMC, like a theater
Right.
that has an internet connection. You can do this basically. That's a positive. This is giving more people a larger variety of entertainment, and it's allowing younger people the chance to see older movies, which is the best thing.
Yes, because we will lose that like that.
Yeah, we will. One of the best things that my wife and I did was we showed our kids things that they liked, but also things that we grew up with, and things that we learned to love as we got older. So they're not waiting until, my oldest daughter, she watched 2001 when she was 18 months old, and she loved it. No kid her age is seeing 2001.
Right.
But we exposed them both to older things. So it's not so much of a system shock to them when they're used to, the modern stuff. And then you try to watch it. Like I have a friend who went to film school with me, and he cannot stand black and white movies because he never watched them growing up. I did. I like black and white movies. But he's missing out on
So much
60
stuff.
years of fantastic movies,
Right.
just because he doesn't, he didn't grow up with it. It's dumb. So yeah, Fathom, that's great. Netflix is going to just kind of steamroll over everybody in the next few years. The big thing is when Marvel, at some point, they're going to decide, you know what? Let's do a movie for Netflix. We'll do we'll do a special team up with whatever their TV properties are. But you know what? We don't think we're going to make enough in the theater. Let's just do it for Netflix. And if that hits, something like that, if one of those things hits, that's it. That's it. Because that's going to be the beginning of the end for studios. That was fun.
We made it through
We did.
again.
Was that episode 6?
That was 6.
Episode 6.
On is there any kind of special day for 6? How do those things work? Is this like the silver anniversary?
I don't
Or is this
know.
a paper plate
I
anniversary?
don't know what you're talking about.
No, okay, fair enough. But we
He's
made
not
it through.
making any sense.
The people listened to us again. We talked about our friends Netflix.
Yeah.
We talked about Logan.
We suck Netflix's dick on this show. We really do.
We're just really hoping that they give us a contract of some kind.
I wouldn't mind.
And they'll find out soon enough. But we got something coming for the peoples that maybe Netflix will be interested in. Or maybe nobody will be. But we'll be interested in it because it's going to be fun.
Hell, if anything, Vimeo. We will
There you go.
four-wall that
Find
shit.
us on Vimeo if you need to. If you'd like to actually contact us, I believe that we have some stuff online for the social medias, don't we?
Yeah, what is it again?
I believe we're at MatmanPod.
At MatmenPod.
Over there on the Twitters and on the Instagrams. We protest Facebook because we don't like to be tracked. As we say that in the room where you have an iPhone, but that's beside the point. WikiLeaks told us all about that. Until next week, where we'll be talking about other stuff. What are we talking about next time?
I don't know.
Netflix?
Movies?
Netflix and movies.
Yeah.
All right. Tell the people some last words.
Do we want to give a recommendation?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Go see Logan. Actually, why don't you tweet us?
Mm-hmm.
Let us know what you thought about Logan and Get Out, and tell Matt how wrong he is about that.
Because trust me, people will tell me that. If I'm going to recommend something, I say come with us on Friday. And when I say us, probably not you, but us as in people that leave the house on Fridays, to go see Tokyo Drifter at the Texas Theater in Dallas. The great Seijun Suzuki,
Will this
one of
be
his
out by then?
wonderful films. No, not at all.
Then how about this? Let's do this. Scratch those last recommendations. Let's recommend a Criterion disc.
Do it.
Eyes Without a Face. It's a French horror film, and it is fantastic.
All right, I'll counter that with Vengeance Is Mine.
Okay.
It's a story about a serial murderer in the 80s, and he's got a heart of gold.
I like it.
I think so. Watch those.
See ya.
Deuces.